Hello Uganda, good evening and welcome to the show On the Spot. My name is Patrick Kamara. Now, the political climate in the country grows intense day by day as we come close to the 2026 general elections. Different political parties are organizing themselves internally to claim dominance in the general elections, whilst EC is rechecking its roadmap to fine-tune the process. High on the agenda, or high on people's minds, is the NRM electoral petitions that have started getting ruling today. So on today's show, On the Spot, we navigate the dynamics in Uganda's latter political environment and making sense of the electoral season. I'll be introducing my panel very shortly. Tonight on my show, I have Dr. Sarah Virete from the Center for Constitutional Governance. Dr. Sarah Virete is also a political analyst. Thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Virete.
Thank you for inviting me, and good evening, viewers.
Also from the Great Lakes Institute for Strategic Studies, I have Mr. Godbert Mushabe. Thank you so much for joining us.
A profound honor to be here, Patrick, and good evening, our viewers.
Also with us is another political analyst, Bonnie Kichoncho, who also participated in the NRM elections primaries that have just concluded. Bonnie, welcome to the show.
Good evening, viewers. Thank you, Patrick. Glad to be here.
And you're looking so dashingly yellow tonight, and you so stand out. Yellow has always been a national color.
Yes.
There are people who fear to put it on. There are people who maybe put it in a subtle way, but there are those who can actually make it look good, like yourself.
It is a national color, and yes. I'm proud to be in it.
You were among those who participated in the primaries. And we have seen so many people petition, but also those primaries showed us the ugly part of the internal politics of the NRM, especially when we saw people died, vehicles were banned, and there was violence and destruction, there was bribery, and some people had the arrogance of bribing on camera. What do you make of that?
Well, thank you, Patrick. Thank you, the viewers. I wouldn't say that it is as bad as you would want to put it, but at the same time, I wouldn't say it is the best that we should have had as NRM, which is a massive party in this country. I think we are still a growing democracy. I think we still have a lot to learn on how best we can better our democracy and how best we can choose our representatives. My view, and to the listeners and everybody here, is that yes, NRM primaries were not the best. We could have done better. But I would want to say that the issue is not NRM as a party. The issue is not the primaries. The issue is not the mode. The issue is we Ugandans. I think we have a very big challenge as Ugandans, where most of us think that, first of all, that having a flag or being in politics, it's a do or die. That is one thing that is actually killing most Ugandans. Then secondly, where people think that once I have held power, I should never leave it. I think we should start going slow and say, let's have the will of the people. Because we go in these primaries, we go in these elections to look for the will of the people, like our constitution says. But sometimes because of our wrongdoing, sometimes because of our corruption, we end up not getting what we call the people's choice. So there I wouldn't say that it was the best. We end up, and the reason being, we the individuals in the party have a problem. We don't believe in transparency ourselves as individuals, as party holders. We think we should use whatever muscle that we have to gather the win. So to our dismay or to our displeasant action is that we all go in, we all hope that we'll be voted according to the will of the people.
You know what is interesting, Bonnie, is that what I've gathered is that you were bruised in this election. You were a casualty of the NRM primaries. You petitioned. But when I asked the very first question, you said, it was okay. Why you have and yet when you're explaining, you were explaining something that was ugly. What is it?
No, I said the NRM primaries, organizing NRM primaries is a good thing. If it is done in its proper manner, it's a good thing. You can't say, because there are so many models of democracy, and that is one of them. And it should actually be the best, because it should be the best transparent. But as I've said, we the individuals have spoiled the game, where you find that someone brings school children, and I've actually, in my petition, I was calling upon powers that be to apprehend, to reprimand these polling agents, or what you call registrars, where you see a child in uniform and you allow that child to vote, where you see a registrar allows to turn a figure to make 10 to make it 1,010.
Okay.
11. So we the individuals, what we need is to discipline our people as a party. May I call upon the powers that be as a party, that we need to discipline our people, we need to reorganize ourselves and ensure that the people's will is manifested in a person that wins the election, whichever kind of election.
All right,
it doesn't matter the primaries, the final, but let's find a way of reprimanding those who do wrong for the people's will to be projected and to come out.
All right, let me come to you, Mr. Godbert Mushabe. Listening to Bonnie, understanding what happened, and we are getting into a general election in a few months from now. Was the NRM primary like the dry run of what is likely to happen? How ugly is it likely to be?
No, actually, Bonnie even makes me even more scared for me.
Why?
Yeah, because you see the way you explain the problem, it's almost gives me the impression maybe you don't even know NRM.
No, I do.
No, because you see, when you say it is the individuals within NRM that are a problem, it has not come out in the election that you've concluded. Because the crisis that you had in the election can be described at many different levels. The first one is if you followed the complaints in the election, the first complaint was with the register. So across the country, many people said the register was rigged, or there were people who were not on the register, or there were people who were not on the register and they were allowed to vote. So what that means is that there is a problem with the register, and that's an institution.
Yeah.
That's not an individual.
True.
Yeah. So that's the institution. Then secondly, you go to the nominations process. Then there are all issues to do with the nominations and the campaign process. The people who died were killed in the campaign process. And they were killed by participants. Remember that your elections, the violence, you can even know. Some of us who do early warning analysis, I can tell you where they are likely to be the most violence in these elections. If you find that an election, there is a retired or serving army officer involved, that election is of NRM, or even the general, by the way, it is likely to be violent. If you find that there is a member of the first family involved, that election is likely to be violent. So you can go on and on and on in terms of the distortions within the system. And then you get a point where you voted. You see, Bonnie, you guys you are educated. Please be honest with Ugandans. You can't sit there and get people. First of all, you got to a point where you went back to Stone Age and said you can't organize a separate ballot election, so let's line up. Then, if you have a party that cannot count people who have lined up, there must be something fundamentally wrong with that organization, not the individuals. It's the organization. And then you have the way you organize the election, who is participating. One of the most dangerous things that you have brought to Uganda, and that's why I really admire UNRM people, because I don't think that you guys love this country. You love your party. No, you love your party. You have abandoned Uganda. Because if you have an organization where you have to deploy the entire security apparatus of a state for you to organize an election, then there must be a problem. This is an internal election. But then you have to deploy the police and deploy the military and they deploy the RDCs and they deploy the DSOs. This NRM thing of yours is a big danger to Uganda. And you guys, you are educated people, you are exposed people. You have to have love for your country. So no, you don't, because you see the cost of deploying these people to make sure that you don't kill each other. Because the reason that our army and our police and our intelligence and our public service is deployed for you to vote is so that you don't kill yourself.
Okay, go slow on Bonnet. She's not Todwong, neither is she.
No, and then finally, no, let me make my last point. Let me make my last point. No, I don't know. No, I'm in Bonn. I'm talking to all the NRM people, by the way. Yeah, I'm talking to all the NRM people. And then you get the reason I'm saying this is institutional. You get the president who is the chairman of your party, of the NRM party. I mean, it's unbelievable. So the president says all these registrars who manipulated the result should be in jail. The president knows that if there were people contesting, if Bonne and Godba were contesting, one of us definitely must have compromised the registrar. So how do you tell me that you can say, I am reprimanding the registrar, but Bonne and Godba are okay? Because if President Museveni was a serious chairman of a party, if he believed in NRM, because I also don't believe that he believes in NRM. If he was a serious chairman, you don't
need what you don't believe in.
No, if he was a serious chairman,
before I came for this show, I tried to dig deep, and in the late 90s, you are a cadre of the NRM.
No, when we went back to recorrect ourselves, we found that we were Musevenists.
At the university, you were a regime.
1996, I was a Musevenist, because none of us none of us knew. And some of us don't know what NRM is.
You got to know.
So the chairman,
others will also get to know.
So if the chairman of NRM,
you just get to know at different times.
Okay, fine, no problem. But I'm saying at this time, when you have an election that goes messy like this, if you are the chairman of a party and you are in control, this election of NRM would have completely been cancelled.
Okay. Let me first leave a former NRM apologist now. Turned radical after his Damascus turnaround. Dr. Bidete, how about we, the people, who get involved? How about we who accept to get 1,000 shillings? Or like I had a minister say, I'm going to buy you Waragi of gold at a global scale. And everybody was clapping, and I'm going to put you at the playing ground somewhere in Shane. Yeah. So the minister is on record and say, I'm going to buy Waragi.
Which minister? That was, I think, Tumukunde.
I'll share with you. Tumukunde is not a minister.
He says in Usheni.
In Usheni.
I'll buy you Waragi at the global scale. What's wrong with us, the people? What will it take for us to have a dynamic population that is vibrant, that is going to say no?
No, you see, the problem with our politics is that we have made politics business, and not just a normal business, but a data business. It's a data business because of the manner in which it is contracted. It's a business because people go in. Majority of people are ready to kill because of the money. In any country where politicians earn more than professors, there is a problem.
Yeah,
there is a problem. So MPs are the highest paid people in Uganda under the public purse.
And paid for doing nothing.
Yes.
I agree with you.
On top of being paid a lot of money, there is a lot of bribery.
Without accountability.
Yeah.
A lot of bribery, including by the head of state.
How come they seem to be a group that is most in danger?
So if the president is interested in a role and he can dish out 100 million per individual, if your interest is quick money, or what the Chikubo language would be Kagwirao, then you join that business. There is a UPDF bill and there is 100 money on the eve of tabling the bill. And you get the money, and the giver is saying, whoever picked my money and he doesn't vote, I will arrest them because I have evidence. So that's what we have done. The Parliament is like a black market in Uganda. Those black market forex bureaus. I used to think that you go there and receive black paper. So
Black market.
black market. So people are looking at 100 million per bill. People are looking at a salary of basically a minimum 45 million because it ranges from 45 to 60 million. And power to increase because every parliament has been increasing. So even those who are vying, they are thinking of even increasing that money. At one time we sat with a new MP for this parliament, and he was saying he invested even the campaign money is called an investment. Shamelessly, that he invested 600 million and he was planning to recover it in 2 years, and then the 3 years should be profit. That is a member of parliament. I don't remember any statement he made in the interest of the country and the common good. Because his agenda was money making. So Kirina, we need to see and sit and see where did the rain start beating us? How do we get out of it? Democracy seems ugly in this country. And we know that it's not perfect. But democracy is still the best means of how people can govern themselves.
Okay, let me go back to you, Boneki Choncho, because you have participated in active politics and you have tried to ask people to give you a mandate to lead. I understand now, to just warm up the engine, you need $500 million, like 500 million, to be on the good side. and perhaps to be better, you should be thinking about a
$1
billion.
billion.
So,
To be safer.
is it us, the people, in those constituencies who come demanding for the money? I'm not saying you're going to say you put in $500 million or $1 billion, but the truth is the issue of money is so big.
Like Godba says, we really love our country, and the truth is, we love our country, and the truth is, politics have gone bad. Because even me who is contesting, even a person who wants to give me a vote, someone tells you openly, I don't vote for nothing. People come on the line and they will say, they stand there and say, who gives better money? So I think on this time I would say, as Sarah has put it, we need to start from top and say, where have we gone wrong? Really, as a Ugandan, you say, yes, I am NRM, yes, I love my party, yes, and I know it is a massive party that serves people, but generally as Ugandans, we need to start on top and say, where have we gone wrong? And like you've said, many people have sold their things trying to, and you know, for me, yes, parliament, they may say there's a lot of money, but the whole issue starts with LC1. If most of you followed the elections of LC1 before the parliamentary elections, you would see people selling cows, slaughtering cows. And remember, constitutionally, an LC1 has 10,000 shillings per month. But I think psychologically, emotionally, we need to correct something as Ugandans. There I agree with you entirely. Because even us who are contesting, even us who are beaten, even us who are bruised, we don't want it that way. We would, I think, love it better.
So good, but you are hearing from somebody who just participated, from somebody who has walked, you know, the width and breadth of a constituency looking for a vote.
Yeah.
And that is the experience she gets from the people. Yes, we have heard you. Yes, we see you. But where is the money? No, and some people even change the lines because who has better pay. Yeah, so there's something fundamental wrong also.
Know, I'm sorry, Patrick. Societies are led. Societies are led. Even in a small company, it can be a company like NTV. You need a CEO. You actually need a board of directors. You need a CEO. And they set policy and direction on how a company runs. If you don't, all the Patricks who are doing work here, you'll find them doing a mambo jumbo. So, this country needs a leadership. It needs a transformative leadership. Sorry, Bonnie, if you want to know the part of the problem, you guys NRM people, that one of the biggest challenges that we've created for us is that NRM introduced transactional politics. in this country. So politics, everything is a transaction, including, by the way, everything that President Museveni has done, he does it as a transaction. So he will go to a district like Mbarara, he wants to give you a city, then he transacts with you. If I give you city status, you vote for me. You'll go to Bushenya and say, we break the districts. I give you districts, you vote for me. He will go to parliament, I give you money, you vote for my law. So you're talking about transactional politics. That has been carried from the top to the bottom. Anybody who goes to blame those ordinary people in our villages, LC1, they are just carrying, they are just taking a culture that has been bred and nurtured from the center.
So how do you reconcile the fact that even greater democracies in the last election in the United States, what we saw, there's a gentleman called Elon Musk was giving money to people, the Republican voters, to go and vote. He put in over almost $250 million, and before we knew it, he's right in the center of
the American system is known to be based on money. In fact, for them,
but we're benchmarking ourselves. And
you can you benchmarking yourselves on America.
The American democracy. We are learning a democratic system. We are learning.
Patrick, let's be real.
Yes.
In America, to determine whether you are a viable candidate, whether presidential, whether Senate or Congress, or even governor, they see how much money you've been able to raise. That money is not being stolen from the consolidated fund. It is raised from people who are your supporters, from business, from ordinary people. You remember the first Obama campaign, I was studying in the US, he raised over $200 million from his supporters who were contributing $1, $5, $20. That's a campaign. Here, you get a group of people called NRM who are supposed to lead, and they run a political party that is funded by Ugandan taxpayers, and they need the deployment of the security paid for by Ugandan taxpayers, because NRM does not pay us for using our police and our army and our intelligence to run their elections. Man, if we gave you guys a bill, you would be out of town.
But I think bringing security, Godba, to safeguard people, to create peace, wouldn't be so bad.
No, it's not so bad. I'm saying when you have what is like a criminal organization, and you need the army and the police to make sure they don't fight, that's what is wrong. Because first and foremost, you know that your group is a danger to itself. If you follow the elections that took place in Sinjiro, in Zimbabwe, that's the group itself. The people are a danger to themselves. So you have to intervene to basically make sure that in conducting a civic process, a civil exercise, you have to make sure you separate them by the military. So that's my point.
But at the same time,
if we didn't deploy our army, because the army and the police do not belong to NRM.
But you see,
very true, Patrick. Before you come, very true. They don't belong to NRM.
Yeah.
But as army and police of the country, even when we are in civil society work, when you request for army, they give it to you. As long as government detects that there may be chaos, there may not be good transition.
People would fight here. Because parties
sometimes when there is a gathering,
other parties organize their elections without us having to do the same level of deployment. So you guys, because NRM, you are a very rich party, you pay a lot of money to conduct your elections. So why don't you pay us as taxpayers, so that we, the taxpayers, do not have to shoulder the burden of managing your confusion as a group?
But at the same time, the police has a responsibility of keeping law and order.
That I know.
Okay,
yes.
let me bring in Dr. Birete. Dr. Birete, can you rule out the fact that NRM is a mass party, that in some places, in Western Uganda, you can even say in the Toro area, probably it is even their heartland, that I've seen people who are maybe leaning towards opposition, and they want to go and stand for elections, they have to join the NRM, because you either join the NRM or you're ready to lose, because that's where the people are. You can't take it away from them.
It's both a yes and no. Mass party, because largely it's riding on people's ignorances. And if you wanted to count in terms of mere numerical presence, yes. No, because it's a tool. It's a tool for getting power. When you look at those people who would ideally be opposition, they run in NRM. And I want to give an example. In the last campaigns, people in Western Uganda were told that if Bobi Wine wins, Honorable Chagulanyi, also known as Bobi Wine, if he wins, that your children in Kampala are going to be chased away. I called the people, including civil society leaders in Bushenyi. They had been told that. So he told me and said, you, Sarah, you don't know that you people are going to be chased out of Uganda and Buganda and Kampala to come back home. Said, we can't, people depend on you guys in Kampala. You think they will vote for Uganda to chase them away? Misinformation and blackmail.
Is that even possible?
Yes, I'm telling you, Bushenyi is a modern district.
No, the whole of
the whole of Western Uganda. That was the campaign, and it was
the demographics of Kampala have changed so much that is that even possible?
But you say person on the grassroots did not understand, and there was no time to consult their children in Kampala. They believed the propaganda. But if you look at violence against people who are outside NRM, so you do it because it has some numbers, but also the violence meted against opposition in this country. So you press safe and go and hide under yellow. But also yellow has its own internal violence. The one where they have produced 464 petitions. Yes, in a primary. 464 petitions.
How many elective positions are there, by the way? If you remove special interest groups and what? So almost every constituency.
Almost.
So, Dr. Brett, Mr. Godibert Mushabe and Pony, we're going to take a break, and on the spot we'll be right back. Welcome back. You're watching On the Spot. My name is Patrick Kamara, and my guest tonight, I have Bone Kichoncho, who has been a contender in the NRM primaries and a political analyst. I have Mr. Godibert Mushabe from the Great Lakes Institute for Strategic Studies, and I have Dr. Sarah Birete from the Center for Constitutional Governance. And Sarah, before we took a break, you had a point you wanted to conclude.
Yes, I wanted to conclude on why people, even when they don't believe in NRM, run on the NRM ticket. And I was on the security point, security, safety, or intimidation. There is targeted harassment of opposition, especially in Western Uganda, where the regime wants a block vote. You go as opposition, if you are powerful, you need to make sure you have a network around you that can protect you and protect your victory. Or else you'll be victim of harassment. You can see what happens in Kampala.
I mean, how do you cross the aisle and join a party with a different political orientation, ideology, and say, because I want to protect myself? I mean, that's a different... They stand on a very different wavelength. How do you join them? If your purpose is to be an then MP, you're not serious.
Yeah, you don't care
then you're
about
not principled.
Ideology.
Then you're not principled.
You don't care about your agenda is to be an MP.
Period, yeah.
Then you look for what platform can take you to parliament. And that's what most of them are doing. Then there is an element of money. These people, why they are killing each other in the NRM primaries? When they go through the flag bearers, I hear now they are going to be given more than 100 million each to campaign. So they have access to resources, plus their own money, and of course limited competition, because the people on the grassroots. Another issue why NRM capitalizes on primaries is the people think they have already chosen. So when you go to campaign, they say, but we have decided on a person. Even the turnout of voters will be low, because some of them, because of information gaps, they think they have already elected their MPs.
Very true. That is
so that's what the advantages people are looking for.
But I think you should add
one of the things
point.
it could also be true that if you are in a stronghold of NRM and you win the flag, you have more or less gone to parliament. And that's why people are fighting tooth and nail, because you win NRM somewhere in Bushenyi or somewhere in Fort Portal.
You see, that's the and I know that, yes, they are stronghold, but I think that there is the narrative that is perpetuated about NRM being a mass party. There's that narrative. So they are strongholds. You see, what people have failed to internalize and appreciate is that the NRM and their chairman, Museveni, campaigns for 5 years because he's the incumbent president. So he runs all kinds of programs. Normally after the elections, there is always a launching of a program. He is popularizing something. So like now he did the PDM. Before elections. Yeah. No, actually, he normally does it after the elections. He brings a program called PDM, which is a good program for government, forever. So he now launches the program, so he goes through the electorate, and then towards the election, then he goes monitoring. And so what everybody has failed to appreciate is there is no such a thing called mass party called NRM.
But wait a minute, as the head of state, an elected head of state, he should come up, some of the things that he launches are the things he has put in his manifesto.
No,
so he needs to
absolutely, I have no problem with that. But you
timing is everything.
Yes, but you see, at the end of the day,
Patrick,
he's the head of state.
Patrick,
yes.
The point is that if you were confident that you have a mass party and you have government resources, you are able to move wherever you want, and which is okay because you are a president now. Even when you are hiding under that to campaign, that's fine. But then why are you deploying security to stop your opponents, your competitors, from also running their own politics? So you can comfortably say that NRM is the worst coward in politics in this country, because they control state power, they control state resources, they control the entire state apparatus, and then they fear these organizations, the NUPs and the PFFs and the others. So you can see a bunch of cowards who fear everything, but otherwise with the kind of resources at their disposal to be able to campaign for 5 years and mobilize, because their mobilization is being funded by the state, by the taxpayer. They would then let all these other people to go and organize their elections and their campaigns. But man, you will find the other day in that Rwampara, I was really surprised, because the NRM people will say, no, Western Uganda, Ankole is our territory. Then I was following one of the video clips where the DPC had stopped a group, one of the ladies who wants to contest on the NUP ticket with her supporters. They were going to do a football match. These politicians, normally they do football matches. So the DPC had deployed.
But tell me, what is it with the football and politicians towards
no, they look for things. They look for things on how to mobilize people.
Football is a popular game that attracts everyone,
exactly.
And a politician is a public figure. So
yes. They always want those channels. But so you would imagine
so many footballers in one part.
Patrick, so you would imagine that a place like Ankole, where NRM is the mass party, you would let all these guys to go and campaign because we don't have anything to fear. But that group is a bunch of cowards, definitely, because they fear almost everything.
If I may add something small.
Just before one, yes.
On the mass party, and I want to compare it with the Tuareg of UPC. It's a slogan.
Yeah.
So when you hear it's a mass party, and we had a discussion of the show saying everybody belongs in NRM, so where do you go? So it is that propaganda.
Yeah.
So everybody's here. Why do you want to isolate yourself?
But Sarah, if you wanted today to run for office in Bushenyi or wherever, using any other platform other than NRM, you'll find it very if Even if it was you good, but to go to Washamiri.
No, please, Patrick. If NRM, or if
go to Washamiri and say,
I think I would run.
If NRM was not deploying the police and the military and intelligence to stop you from
would
campaigning, you would actually win. But where would you campaign?
I wouldn't think that it is about deploying the military and what. Like, we need, first of all, we need to appreciate, yes, that the Ugandans, even we, me and you, especially our people, they have not yet appreciated multi-party democracy. Some of them think that if someone is in power...
Why haven't they?
Maybe our background. Of course, you know, we started with multi-party democracy. Most of us were born in a very political active families. Then during Obote's regime, there was a lot of negativity on what multi-party did to people. If you are DP, you hide. If you are UPC, you are a monster. So the people got stuck in that.
Now, if you are NUP, you have to be hiding.
Not really, that's not what I'm saying. That background affected people not to appreciate multi-party democracy. And yes, we have reintroduced multi-party democracy, but many people have not understood actually what it is.
But you see, the people you're talking about of UPC, who even saw UPC, are a very small group of people.
Yeah.
Majority of Ugandans, we're told, are 30 and below. The
Very
only government they have seen is NRM.
Even me was talking, I was in
Even you
primary.
don't even understand it.
So you can imagine.
So you have not experienced it.
Yes, but the issue
So
is
you have an imaginary group called UPC and whatever.
an imaginary, no, the point I'm making is that the people, considering, of course, now it is now that we are beginning to appreciate that the multi-party dispensation can be good or is good, and thanks that we are practicing it. It's there.
Are we?
Yes, to an extent. That's why there is NUP, that's why there is PFFU. Yes, we are practicing it because we wouldn't be seeing these parties on the ground. So we need to appreciate that we are practicing it.
All right.
There may be, the point I wanted to make is that we need all to appreciate that our democracy, I think, is still lacks some things to make it a real one.
It is still a work in progress.
It is still work in progress, but the truth is that there is some work done.
So Sarah, let's look into what we're headed into 2026 general election. In Uganda, in Busoga, and some other areas, they call it the red wave, the NUP wave. It came and swept. Will it be a tsunami this time?
Where?
In Uganda, Busoga, and beyond.
Well, I think Uganda.
It was a wave then. Is it a tsunami now?
I think Uganda will remain predominantly NUP. I don't see that changing much. Whether it will be a wave or not
Or a tsunami.
is another matter that we need to wait for and see. But I think Uganda as a region has moved, and it's for change. Whether other regions will move, and Busoga had also massively moved.
Yeah.
So if these regions remain determined to deliver democratic change, it's a question of now, actually my worry is the rate of violence, the possibilities of abuse and misuse of security for regime survival. That is my worry for elections. There is also something a bit that is not, becoming stable. I think last month, the Electoral Commission announced a revision of roadmap. Today, another revision of roadmap. I think we need stability from Electoral Commission. If they are going to be changing their dates, they risk sending a signal that they are not ready to hold these elections. Because if you set a roadmap 2 years ago, revise it once at most. But if every month you are going to revise...
Sorry, Sarah, let me disappoint you and tell you that the Electoral Commission is not in charge of that roadmap.
So it's like there is a deliberate, agenda or plan to upset the planning of people that are vying for elective offices and limit the time for campaigns, because they've gone extending. Before we know it,
upset who? Because we are all in it, whether call it NUP, call it us, NRM. So who do you intend to upset?
No. You see, don't think that the contenders in the elections are just you people picking party flags. There are those people out of Uganda that are coming to run for elections. There are people in the private sector that are planning to run for elections. Don't think that it's only you people in the parties that are going to run for elections.
I'll come to you, Mr. Godbert Mashabe, and I'm picking what Sarah has said, because when you look at Uganda, they have decided, they have taken a choice, they are for change, and so is Busoga. Assuming that is true, what do you think, Godbert, could explain that?
Could explain that. No, first of all, Buganda, I think there is one is that there is this level of consciousness that exists because of the level of urbanization. I think Buganda has urbanized much more than many other places. So there is the urbanization effect. Then secondly, Buganda has been subjected to extensive violence right before the previous elections and now since the last elections of 2021. You remember around 2022, there was this wave of abductions of young people where people were being kidnapped in broad daylight with these drones. You know, there is a certain level of violence that a population can take. So you can. So I envisage that Buganda is the Buganda probably feel the push against them. Their young people have been kidnapped. I think there is going to be, you know, the way even the way NUP has framed this as a protest vote. This is a message for the entire country, but it's probably going to have more resonance in Buganda, because what does it mean? If you have a family member who has been kidnapped or killed or mistreated, if you have had sometimes when you go on some of these social media platforms and you see people who are crying over land, they are showing you how they are being
rejected. It's your time to protest on the vote.
So you are going to see a protest vote. That probably is going to be much more pronounced in Buganda.
So you find no medicine in hospital.
You find no medicine in the hospital. You don't
protest bad service.
Absolutely.
We have bad roads.
The business
protest.
the business goes south, you protest.
These
guys are smart, aren't they?
The way the businesses are crashing.
Yes, protest.
In this, so that you are going to have even more people now, even non-Buganda, joining the protest vote, because I mean the business community in this country is hurting. Across the board. You and I, Patrick, we are here struggling with the fees.
I know.
Yeah, if you are feeling the cost of fees and the cost of fuel, you just need to protest. And so I think these guys came up with a wonderful slogan to be able to do this. I think that Busoga, one of the most surprising regions for me in 2021 was Busoga. I didn't understand how the wave. That NUP wave took Busoga. Now, my expectation is that the defining factor in Busoga now on how going into 2026 is going to be how this Kadaga among.
Before you go there, do you really want to mean that the problems of here in Buganda and Busoga are exclusive in Buganda?
No.
Because their pain is our pain.
No, their
pain is your pain.
Yeah, no, so we did a study. Before the Tojukwatako campaign, you remember, Sarah? We did a study to see the MPs who were, what was informing different MPs, how people would be able to, were perceiving
students' perceptions
on removal of age limit. Yeah? Then we realized that those who were likely to, those who came from the poorest of the regions were actually likely to be supporting the removal of age limit, and the MPs were even supporting. So we were able to do the rundown of the regions. At that time, the poorest regions were Bunyoro, Busoga, Sebei, and Karamoja. So in other words, my view is that Busoga is feeling the poverty and the marginalization. And now, if you put in the factor of among Kadaga fight for a safe position, if I was the NRM, if I was an NRM strategist, I would pay attention to how that context is resolved, because depending on how it's resolved, and let me say this clearly, that if it is resolved in favor of among, you are likely to see a much higher protest vote, because I think Kadaga has demonstrated that she still has a grasp of the leadership in Busoga, when you see the MPs who were pro-Among, the way they were decimated in these primary elections. I think the other region to watch is going to be Teso. If this NUP wave is to be sustained, another region that could catch the flu is Teso, because Teso is going through a lot of biting poverty. And you know, you also saw Musa Ichweru complaining. I mean, I felt humbled looking at Musa Ichweru, my friend, the minister.
If we were to look at the representation at the highest level of government, Teso is doing well.
And if we were to look at the representation, in fact, it could be the reason. It could be the reason for the protest vote, because how come we are so highly represented with all these people, but then we are the poorest?
Yeah.
How come? So I think that's so looking at the current trajectory, there is a lot in the air. So, but we know that the elections are never decided by way of these votes.
Okay, you know, when you're talking, I'm looking at that. Bonnie is looking at you like this one doesn't know politics. Where do you get your confidence?
No, because and I'm sure Bonnie,
like, no, we are going to be
Bonnie, you know that I've said time and again, in this country, elections are run as a military operation. They are not run by the Electoral Commission. So at the end of the day, we can even decide to announce the winner.
But then
in your yellow corner, you seem to be very confident. Where is the confidence coming? Even though Godby is giving this kind of analysis.
I am confident that, for example, you have just said it. Sometimes we need to believe in some of these processes, because you've said it that NUP got a wave, meaning that there is some level of democracy taking place in the country. Because if there was no level of democracy, we wouldn't be seeing the new people we are seeing in parliament. So that's what I mean, that there is some level.
The level of democracy, Bonnie, what I'm saying is that the NRM is expert at stealing elections. So the places where they fail, including, by the way, even in the areas where you say you have a strong NRM support, where you have two NRM candidates, who win? If you have two candidates of NRM, the winner is going to be determined by who has the capacity to steal more, who has the capacity to deploy security. So in other words, even with this wave, the fact that the reason there is a wave in Uganda is that it becomes so risky to unleash certain levels of violence. You saw it in Kawempe, by the way.
Yeah, definitely. Even if there is some kind of what you call stealing or cheating, you must do it where you have support.
Yours is not cheating. Yours is stealing.
Why?
Because that's the level.
No. Some manipulation. Let me use the polite one. Even if there is a level, you need to do some manipulation.
Okay.
You do it where
you need to do some manipulation.
No, what I mean, even if you are to do manipulation, you do it where you have support. And the fact like that the NRM is still a bigger number in parliament, that means that it has bigger support generally in the country. It may lose some dockets in the country. That one, you may not do much. And true, Uganda is overexposed in so many things, and it is hit by so many things. That one we cannot all deny. But the truth is that
people who are exposed, that they tend to oppose the government. Is that what you're saying?
No, they don't. They tend to oppose NRM. The problem with all of you is always saying NRM, as if government is NRM. They oppose NRM.
It's an NRM government.
But the greater picture is that the greater picture, what we have to accept. We may say it is doing it in different ways, but the greater picture is that NRM is still strong in many other parts of the country. That's why it brings in many.
But can you explain? Why do you think Museveni has to deploy our security to make sure that all these other groups, NUP, NTA, PFF and others, why do you think he has to deploy to stop them from campaigning? If you genuinely believe NRM is this strong and embedded, why do you have to stop your friends from campaigning?
But one more question, sir, to you.
Oh my!
The
Bonnie needs my protection now.
Yes, you did state at the beginning that the reason you're petitioning, there were children in the rhinos voting.
True, that's one I'm not.
So if you are a mass party, why do you correct children in uniforms to vote? And then you said your turn-up was 50%, but that includes children. What actually is your number that makes you multi-party?
The truth of the matter is that this lineup of mode of election or mode of democracy, many gentle people do not appreciate it. That one I think we have to be clear about it. If as a party we need to sit back on the table and say, what do we do next?
So you repress them with the children.
No, what I mean, you are talking about the low turn up. The low turn up. Of course, the children, I've already said it, and I would not say it in a simple language, is that we need to find means of reprimanding. First of all, we actually, as NRM, I would call upon everyone to even deal with schools which allow people's children, because they will get problems.
Maybe the schools were not working.
Okay,
No,
Sarah,
the school
let me change. Sarah,
but Patrick, before you say that, is that the truth is that we need to work out that and make sure that we reprimand or we punish some of those acts that are not good. And they are not good not only for me, but for the whole country, because we all need transparency. Then you've asked the low turn up. I've told you, many people don't appreciate that. First of all, when you do that, as you've said, some people, it's not a very smooth exercise. Lining up is not a very smooth exercise. So you find that the turn up...
You don't know how to line up?
No, we don't know how to use it properly.
You don't know how to count.
It's just not a smooth exercise and attracts low turn up. That's very true, it attracts low turn up. So as a party, my plea would be that we find a way of modifying. It's a running process. It's work in progress, I've already said it. And I would be happy if as a party we sat and say, how best can we handle our primaries? Because the truth of the matter is that this is not the best we have seen.
Sir, I think once in a while there comes an individual who has exceptional qualities. This gentleman came to town in 1986. He's relatively young. He's been able to hold on to power for 40 years. Impact on the region, in Congo, Arab North, in Somalia, Central African Republic. Continue even to inspire people like Bonnie and others in big numbers to support.
Yeah.
He's an exceptional guy. He's smart, isn't he?
Well, what is true is that President Museveni as an individual is very intelligent.
Very.
What is also true is that at the beginning of his leadership, there are some things he managed to fix. But the more he stayed in power, the more the law of diminishing returns
kicks in.
Set in. And what we are seeing now is a complete reverse of even the things he had managed to fix, like the army.
Yeah.
Now the army is in total degeneration. To distinguish the current UPDF, and with all due respect to some of the professional officers in the UPDF, but today the characteristic of the army that a citizen interacts with is not any different with UNRA or Amin's army.
Yeah.
The difference is the same. So if Museveni, one of the greatest successes of President Museveni was creating a national army. But what we have today is even worse than the army he defeated, in terms of the way it acts with the people.
You call it a national army, but I heard Goodbat, another forum, he doesn't believe it is a national army.
No, it's not.
If he had left 10 years ago, he would have delivered a national army to Ugandans. But the more he stays on the stage, the more he eats up all the things he had managed to fix for this country. I want also to point to the example of the fuel monopoly. We were told that with the fuel monopoly law, Ugandans will enjoy cheap fuel, low prices. Yeah. But the prices have kept skyrocketing. I don't know whether the people of the oil...
But that's also dependent on the world market, the barrel.
No, they had said they had
found the silver bullet.
Even if you do that.
The argument was that they will...
If the price per barrel goes up, there's nothing you can do.
No. If we visit the answer today in Parliament, some of the arguments were that they will shield the citizen from fluctuation of oil prices on the global market. But instead, we are more open to vultures today in the name of fuel monopoly.
Grete, Mr. Tumushabe and Madam Bonnie Kichonjo, we're going to take a break, and on the spot, we'll be right back. Welcome back. You're watching On the Spot. My name is Patrick Amara. My guest tonight, I have Dr. Sarah Berete from the Center for Constitutional Governance. I have Mr. Godbert Mushabe from the Great Lakes Institute for Strategic Studies. And I have Bone Kichoncho, who has been asking for the mandate to lead and is contesting the primaries, and also a political analyst. Now, let's look at the individuals who are likely to be on the ballot. Will it create a difference? We have an Andala, the firebrand guy from the East. Leading FDC. We will probably have Jimmy Akena taking on Lango. Of course, the Honorable Robert Chagulanyi will be in Uganda, and there's going to be season 2 of
What do you mean he will be in Uganda?
He will be here.
He will not be in the ballot.
No,
He's from Uganda area. I'm talking about how the regions are likely to be.
The strongholds.
The strongholds, yeah. I'm assuming, is it possible that the Honorable Nandala Mafabi can capture Masaba land? And you have the Honorable Jimmy Akena capture Lango. The Honorable Robert Chagulanyi capture Buganda. And somehow Bonnie and her people are denied 50+1. Of course, there's going to be a return of Joseph Kabuleta, maybe. or even Katumba.
No, if we had a transparent election, that would be a possibility. My worry is, and I speak this as a person who has observed the previous elections and elections outside Uganda, we have never witnessed transparent transmission, tabulation, and counting of presidential elections in this country. The opaqueness surrounding, and I'm sure all journalists, you have always broadcast empty screens. The Electoral Commission will pretend to prepare a national tally center, put up computers, put up screens, show you how elections will be, results will be streaming in. But come the day of streaming in, nothing will stream. There is that famous clip where I think Amri at one in some region with the number of votes, but is it true he won? And the journalists kept asking, where are the results you are reading?
Yeah.
And nothing was streaming.
And
so that would be possible if we had a transparent way that every district has done it. And I have my agent's paper from Bushenyi, and I know, Chagulanyi got this, and I see that results streaming in, like the way we sit here in Kampala and watch results streaming in from Kenya and everywhere else. That has never happened for Uganda. So the thing that the political parties must push for, and if it's the only one, let it be, is a transparent national tally center or no national tally center.
So the one who counts the votes will determine who will carry the day?
No, first of all, if like Sarah said, when you follow the way the Electoral Commission is adjusting dates, you can see clearly that they have started their process of rigging the elections. That's very clear, and unless you don't pay attention to some of these things, because I think with the last adjustment that I know of, that is if they have not adjusted again.
Today they have adjusted again.
I think that's the one I was following. I'm assuming by the time we have spent in the studio, they could have even adjusted again. So, yeah. No, see, these guys, they're capable.
How is the adjustment done by the administrators of the Electoral Commission turn into electoral
No, so let me tell you, Patrick.
Yeah, because the people
they are rigging the rules.
With the adjustment of today, you can calculate, you'll find that from nomination to the voting, they are about 100 days. So, in other words, you as a candidate, you have 100 days to campaign in 146 districts. So in other words, you have to be a magician.
And then they will stage roadblocks.
Yeah, exactly.
Of
course, we are now assuming that they allow them to campaign. So in other words, you have to be a magician to be able to run a campaign in 100 days. So that is the first rigging. Number two, is that clearly, I mean, a miracle has to happen. But I still believe that this is going to be one of the most violent elections in this country, especially going by the NRM primaries. If you look at, because you are going to see a number of independents coming in.
True, that one is true.
You are going to see these opposition political candidates coming in. I don't see how you can have a free and fair election in Zimbabwe, for example, if Sechkubo decides to contest against Rwashande. The way I have seen Rwashande there flexing with all the army men there fighting like they're like militias. That's going to be going to be a war zone. Yeah, that's going to be a war zone. Yeah. So you go to Sinjo, you go to where, so you can see that. Thirdly, of course, you mentioned the candidates. Some of them you really don't have to worry about them. As far as I'm concerned, FDC is part of NRM.
This FDC of Nandala.
Of Nandala, that's part of NRM. UPC is officially part of NRM. DP is officially part of NRM. So in other words,
but some people have also been claiming NUP. So now who is not in NRM?
So these guys you are saying they can dominate here. No, I don't think that. If you have candidates, so you have Museveni, you have Chagulanyi, you have Muntu, who else? Probably those will be the candidates that you can say they are competing. But how that translates into the electoral process is all determined by the military.
Your analysis almost shows that there is no opposition against the NRM. Because almost everybody is in cahoots.
I think that's...
That's something almost. I'm saying almost because you've counted me.
Saying,
so why would there be violence if everybody is in the phone?
Patrick, I'm saying whoever is in opposition must know that he's opposing a machinery that is a state machinery. This NRM, I have said them again, it's not a political party. It's a group of people who captured the state of Uganda and uses it to run their agenda. I can show you, and probably Bonnie knows, if you are contesting in Mbarara and you are a NUP candidate, you know that you are not only contesting against the NRM candidate, you are also contesting against the police, you are contesting against the intelligence officers, you are contesting against the RDCs, and you are contesting, then finally, the guy who is going to steal your elections is actually the Electoral Commission. That's basically what you see.
I think, Mr. Kamara, let's try to be positive and say...
No, we don't have to try. Let's be pragmatic and
let's
know what is
be realistic
happening.
to know that it's not all gone, it's not all lost. That's what I can say. Because the truth is that...
I hear that quite a lot.
Yes, because the truth is that some people, or in many areas in Uganda, like you've said, first of all, he said it looks like there's no opposition. No, true, there is opposition. That's why Godbe is thinking maybe there will be some murder. There is opposition. And I would want to urge Ugandans and listeners here that let's go in elections with hope, with courage, and fight our way. Yes, let's fight our way. Because if you make people lose hope now, maybe you are even discouraging those who may be voting.
But be honest with me. Do you think that the family that lost a relative in Zimbabwe in the Sechkubo's election, so you want them to go with courage and fight their way? You think they will?
Of course, there are exceptions. There are exceptions when you talk of Zimbabwe. And Zimbabwe, this is not the first time. Last time we didn't, I think, have a flag bearer. And Bukanga, there were 2 areas we didn't have flag bearers. So there will always be exceptions. And those few exceptions, we can see how to handle them. But generally speaking, we are going into an election. True, there is a president who is an incumbent. And there are also opposition leaders who have been on the platform and who people already know, who may not have to explain a lot. So let's all go in an election with hope that we will do our best.
So, okay,
with hope that we will do our best.
I remember the previous elections.
I could add just one thing, just one thing to clear that you need to understand the dynamics of these campaigns. So my analysis is that the way you see there wasn't much electoral violence in urban centers like Kampala, the people, even the NRM people, know that there is nothing obvious about victory. because of the support by for NUP and whatever. So in those areas of Western Uganda and wherever and everywhere, people know that if I pass the primary of NRM, there is a 70-80% chance that I'm going to Parliament. So these other ones, they so hard. It's still a fight.
Getting a flag in Kampala
getting a flag in Kampala does not really mean much because of
this. Is what I was telling. This is what I was telling Mr. Singh Katongole, who got a flag for Rubaga. I said, you know, and no one is petitioning. I'm like,
and that's what I'm saying.
Like,
that actually shows that to a certain extent, if a certain area, like you said, Uganda, has its support, that means that shows a level of democracy. How come Uganda, the opposition is winning in some areas?
All right.
It wins because the people have allowed to participate. So all we need to do is to encourage our people to participate, not to discourage them. For me, that's the point I'm making.
Sarah,
let's encourage everyone to participate and do. And the good thing, the multi-party dispensation in Uganda is open. It may have challenges. It may be still work in progress, but it's there. And let's all work through it and see what we can do in our best ways that we can.
Sarah, when I looked at the previous elections, especially 2016 and maybe 2011, there was a heavy involvement of the civil society in trying to create some kind of civic competence, you know, sensitizing the people. But the civil society now, what is going on? You know, you don't hear their voice as we used to. I remember Honor Your Vote campaign, all these kind of things. Topoa campaign. Vote issues.
Not all
what happened?
Yeah, several things have happened. One was the deliberate dissemination of civil society. Closure of, for example, the Democratic Governance Facility. Now with the closure of USAID, those were the biggest supporters of democracy work through civil society. So you have that shrinking funding base, but also the context through which civil society organizations work in, the laws, the regime, and the harassment. Harassment, I think people might note, because government moved from office break-ins that had become so frequent from 2011 onwards, now to hiding behind illegal harassment. So the bureaucratic and burdensome compliance system of civil society that requires money is a problematic also. But the third issue on voter and civic education, the Electoral Commission, most of the files have been handed to police and the army to choose who is accredited. And if you register today a new organization, you have a 90% chance to be accredited than the traditional NGOs that you know. Because these ones are seen as problematic and they have refused to accredit them. So those are the three issues.
Okay,
that
our time is almost out. So let me, starting with you, Bonnie, what's going to be your concluding remark tonight?
To our viewers, my concluding remarks is that Uganda is still in the process, work in progress, to better its democracy, and I would want to call upon all Ugandans, young and old, to participate, to ensure that you participate in choosing for your leader. Let you not relax in choosing for your leader. And also to call upon Ugandans, especially voters, to know that money will not give you the leader you want. I know we have over-monetized politics, we have done a lot, we have done havoc in monetizing politics, and possibly for me, it's one of the reasons we are not having the leaders that we wish to have. So I call upon Ugandans, particularly voters, to reduce on the urge of money in the electoral process, and many Ugandans to participate as much as possible. Our key number one is those who don't participate in choosing for their leaders. So my call is to call Ugandans to ensure that each and everyone is concerned to go and vote. If it is Bonnie, if it is President Museveni you want, or any other president, kindly come out and vote for the person you want to get the leader you want.
All right, thank you. Godba, your parting shot.
Yeah, so really, I think our Ugandan citizens need to know, because for me, this is really the crux of the matter, that the NRM junta has basically captured the state and its institutions, that the NRM has stolen the state of Uganda from us. So it has captured the police, it has captured the military, it has captured the parliament, it has captured the judiciary. So I actually see this as a liberation election. So in other words, the way Museveni and his group felt like 1980, there is a problem with elections, let's go and fight. This election should be Ugandans saying we need to use the vote to be able to liberate our country from this capture. So in other words, if you are there out as a Ugandan, the bond is the NRM people, because you are as captured as everybody else. That's why you had your votes in the different parts across the country. And then the final result has to be determined in Kampala by a tribunal. That's capture. So Ugandans, whether you are NRM, whether you are FDC, whether you are NUP, whether you are non-aligned, you need to understand that this vote is your weapon to liberate Uganda and liberate our country from capture, from this capture by NRM, and therefore that should be the spirit. I think it should not be this is NRM versus NUP, whatever. No, this is Ugandan citizens actually versus NRM.
You know, as you say that, you can hear some people saying this is a time to consolidate, this is a time to develop our economy, the tenfold, you know, the tenfold.
All of those are slogans.
You're parting short, Dr. Villet.
Well, we are in election season. One is that the men and women in uniform who regard themselves as professional serve Uganda, stop the policing for regime survival, and be honest to your country. The citizens out there who are going to vote, vote and guard your vote. And to the Electoral Commission, prepare a transparent national tally center and announce presidential results that everybody can see, not the ones you count in darkness.
Dr. Sarah Rete from the Center for Constitutional Governance, thank you so much. Mr. Godbert Mushabe from the Great Lakes Institute for Strategic Studies, thank you. Ms. Boneki Choncho, political analyst and a contender in the primaries. I want to thank you, all of you, for your submission, for the time you have given us. You have definitely added value to this platform. But most of all, you, the viewer, I want to thank you for the privilege of your company for the last 1 hour and a half. And maybe there's no reason why, if you are a voter, you should go and engage in violence. There's actually no reason why you should fight for a candidate or even die for a candidate. But you have a right to go and vote. Can people just quietly support their people and then vote without abusing, without violence, without even death? We could do that, Uganda. Good night and God bless Uganda.